بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علمك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. The second classification of wajib is into mu'aqqat wa ghayr al-mu'aqqat, the obligation which comes with timing or it's free from timing. Mu'aqqat, sometimes mu'aqqat means temporary, but here mu'aqqat means something which comes with tawqeet, with timing. Some wajibat there is no timing in them. Those who come with timing are divided by themselves into two. Al-Muwassa' wal-Mudayya. Muwassa' is the one that has been given a time framework which is more than the actual time that you need for performing that wajib. Okay? So the time that you are given is more than what you need to do that wajib. Shukran. For example, Salat al-Zuhr, Salat al-Asr, they have timing. You cannot do it any time that you like. There is a timing. But you can perform Salat al-Zuhr or Salat al-Asr in a time framework which allows you to have some flexibility. It's not that it's only enough for 4 rak'ah prayer and you must do it only in that time. Yeah, for example, you have from midday till 4 rak'ah before Maghrib to do Zuhr. Of course, Maghrib or Ghurub depending on Marajah. Or for Asr, 4 rak'ah after Zuhr, midday till Maghrib. So this is called al-wajibul mu'aqqatul muwassa'. Okay? But sometimes is mudayya'. The time that you have is equal to the time that you need. Like fasting in the months of Ramadan. You can fast in a specific time. You cannot fast any time that you like. It has to be the month of Ramadan and it has to be every day from Fajr till Maghrib. Okay? Do you have flexibility of doing it a little bit earlier or later? Do you have more time so that you can do some, maneuvering? No. The time is fixed. Exactly equal to what you need. Is it clear? So, al-mu'aqqat is classified into two things. Al-muwassa' wal-mudayya'. If you could. Al-wajibu ghayru al-mu'aqqat ma la yakunu liz-zamani fihi madkhaliyatun. Thank you. If it is ghayru al-mu'aqqat, means it has nothing to do with time. It doesn't come with timing. Of course, it doesn't mean that the action doesn't take some time. Every action takes some time. But the wajib is not given to us in a time framework. Otherwise, every action needs time. For example, if you are told, respect ulama. Okay? If you are told respect ulama, it has no timing. Is it clear?
Clear.
Yeah. It can be any time. Okay? وَإِطْعَامُ الْفَقِيرِ. There is a joke that I want to say, but I don't say it. وَإِطْعَامُ الْفَقِيرِ. Feed the poor people. When? Anytime. Although feeding takes time, maybe 5 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour. If you want to cook yourself and then take it to them, it takes few hours. Yeah? But this time is not fixed in the wajib. Then, غَيْرُ الْمُؤَقَّتِ, the one which comes without timing, is divided into two. Fawriyan, you have to do it quickly. Doesn't tell you which time, as soon as possible. وَهُوَ مَا لَا يَجُوزُ تَأْخِيرُهُ عَنْ أَوَّلِ أَزْمِنَةِ إِمْكَانِهِ. You cannot delay it from the first time that you can do it. The first possible time for doing, you must not delay it. For example, if masjid becomes najis, you have to clean it as soon as possible. It doesn't come with a fixed timing. So we don't say, for example, clean it in Zuhr or clean it in Subh or Maghrib. We don't fix for you a time. So it's not mu'aqqat. It doesn't come with time framework, but it's fawri. You have to do it quickly, as soon as possible.
Is Homs same, Shaykh?
Pardon?
Homs and Zakat, is it same included in this chart? غير مؤقت?
Homes also you can say yes as soon as possible. When it applies to you, then you have to give it as soon as possible. Or Raddu salam, replying to salam. Someone tells you salam. When you should reply? As soon as possible. Actually, if you delay it too much, then maybe even not working. You know, if someone says salam and then after 1 hour you say alaykumus salam, this is not a reply to salam, it's useless. So there must be no delay more than normal. 1 minute, 2 minutes, but maybe 2 minutes even too much. Yeah? It's quick.
When in the middle of wuzu, somebody says salam alaikum, you should reply immediately.
Yes.
While you're in the wuzu state.
Even during salat.
Isn't salam?
If you are praying and someone says assalamu alaikum or alaikum salam, you have to also reply, but according to Maraj normal, they say with salam. Salam should come first. Assalamu alaikum. Wal amru bil ma'ruf. For example, a friend of you doesn't do mubahasa and you want to do amr ma'ruf. When you should do it? Immediately. As soon as he or she misses mubahasa, you have to do amr ma'ruf. How much you have to do amr ma'ruf? Till starts doing mubahasa. Okay, just once is not enough. You have to repeat first verbally. But there are stages for amr ma'ruf. Okay. وَغَيْرُ فَوْرِ. Sometimes it doesn't need to be quick. هُوَ مَا يَجُوزُ تَأْخِيرُهُ عَنْ أَوَّلِ أَزْمِنَةِ إِمْكَانِهِ. You can delay it from the first possible time for doing it. كَقَضَاءِ الصَّلَاةِ الْفَائِتَةِ. When your salat has become qada, you miss your salat. Okay. For example, you missed salatul dhuhr. Now it is maghrib. You don't need to do it as soon as possible. You can do it as soon as possible. You can do it after half an hour. You can do it after 1 hour. Of course, you must not be careless, but there is no need to do it as soon as possible. Okay? Ada is zakah. So, wal khums, depending, I'm saying it's not necessary to do it quickly, but maybe we can say it's actually you have to do it quickly, because if you don't pay it, then you cannot use the rest of it. So maybe it's better to say this is fawri, not just something that you can do it anytime. So this is غير المؤقت. If it is mu'aqqat, it comes with timing. It means that time has been put into wajib. So there is madkhaliya. Time bears on the wajib. So we said sometimes this is mudayya, sometimes is muwassa. What is مضيق? I said in the beginning. The time is just enough to do the wajib. You don't have more time to be flexible. But muwassa is you have more time than you need. Like Salat al-Dhuhr, Salat al-Maghrib. The time that you have is more than what you need. So you can do it earlier or delayed, but there is a framework. So al-wajib al-mu'aqqat ma yakunu liz-zaman fihi madkhaliyatun is what? Time has a role in it. Bears on it. وَلَهُ أَقْسَامٌ ثَلَاثَةٌ أن يكون الزمان المعين لإتيان الواجب مساويا لزمان الواجب. The time which has been defined and specified for doing wajib is equal to the time of wajib. كالصوم. You have to fast from Fajr till Maghrib and you don't have any more time. Second, أن يكون الزمان المعين لإتيان الواجب أوسع من زمان الواجب. The time that is defined and specified is more than the actual time that you need for performing wajib. Like daily prayers. For example, for Salatul Fajr, sometimes 1.5 hours, sometimes maybe 2 hours, you have time. Till it becomes qaza from 5 till sun rises, you have time. You have some flexibility. For Salat al-Zuhr, you have flexibility. Salat al-Asr, you have flexibility. We call this muwassa. There is a third possibility, but this possibility is not real. We quickly dismiss it. This is just for imagination. The third possibility is that the time that you have is actually less than the time that you need. We say such a thing is not happening because God never asked us to do something in a time framework which is shorter than what you need. This is taklif bima la yutaq. So this is just for imagination, otherwise it's not real.
Can happen, Sheikh, when you maybe...
I come to you. Let me just... أن يكون الزمان المعين لإتيان الواجب. The time which is specified for doing wajib is narrower, is shorter than the time that wajib needs. وهو مجرد تصور. This is just a mere conception, a mere, supposition. بل محال. This is impossible. Why? Because this implies to ask people to do something that they cannot do. تكليف ما لا يطاق. Doing what you cannot do. Okay, you have question?
Yeah, I was saying that it might be, for example, the salah when you haven't had enough time, and now the salah you have only 2 minutes to pray Asr, for example.
That's your problem.
Yeah, of course.
That is not that in the legislation time is specified that short. Legislation of salat gives you plenty of time.
So it's not really, this is not a discussion.
This is not applicable. This is just for the sake of imagination. If someone says there can be 3 possibilities, equal, shorter, longer. You say equal and longer are true, real, but to be shorter is not possible. Question?
Just when you
Short or longer?
Very short.
to
For example, if we have time for only 2 rakats salah for Asr, and if we start, what will be our intention? Is it qada or ada?
Even if you can do 1 rak'ah,
Within the time.
it's okay. It's ada. Of course, you have to remember whether your marja says ghurub or maghrib or asr. Tatimmatun. There is a kind of conclusion, a kind of appendix to this discussion. هل القضاء تابع للأداء? It's a very important discussion, and it has practical implications. Is the wajib which is missed and you have to do qadha? Of course, it's not that every wajib has qadha. Some wajib, if you don't do it, you can never do qadha for it. Some wajib never becomes qadha if it has no specific time. But if there is a wajib which has a specific time and you don't do it and then you have to do qada, do we need a second command for qada, or the same command that asks you to do it in certain time, if you don't do it, is enough to push you to do it later? So if I am only given one command, that I have to say my Fajr prayer from Fajr till sunrise. Imagine I am given only one command by Allah. Salli salat al-Fajr ma bayna al-Fajr wa tulu' al-Shams. If I don't do it, I have committed haram, if I don't do it deliberately. But is that command enough to push me to do qada or no? Many ulama say it's not enough. For qada, we need a second command, a second reason. Because when something is asked in a particular time, maybe after that particular time it has no value. So, therefore, for qada, they say we need to have a new command. Okay? And this has very important implication. Very, very important implication. If you were supposed, for example, to say 100 salat, for example, for 20 days, you do 100 salat. Yeah, every day 5 salat, 5 times. So in 20 days, 100. If you don't know whether one salat has become qadha out of 100, or 2 salat has become, or 5 salat has become qadha, you don't know. Okay? If for qadha you need a new command, so this means that you don't know whether one command has applied to you, or 2 or 5. So you keep it to the minimum. But if qadha is the same as the first command, then if you don't do whether 1 is missing or 2 or 5, it means that you don't know whether you have performed 100 or 99 or 98 or 95. So you have to do the maximum, so that you make sure that all 100 have been taken care of. 95 ada, 5 qadha. You understand the difference? I repeat it for you. Let us read the first part and I can repeat it, inshallah. Now you are getting into fiqh. Usul, is applicable to fiqh. إذا فات الواجب المؤقت. Do you know the meaning of faut? Fata yafuto, faut.
Expiring.
Yes. For when some people die, in Farsi they say, I don't know, in Urdu also they say this person faut karde. In Farsi they say faut karde.
We say fault ho gaya.
And this is wrong. So when someone dies, they shouldn't say faut karde. Also we say, unfortunately, they should say wafat karde, not faut karde. Because from tawaffi means Allah has received him. He has not expired. He has not finished. When you don't do salat, you say salat faut shud. Ajjalu bis salat qabla al faut. Wa ajjalu bit tawbah qabla al maut, not qabla al faut. Because human beings don't expire. Just their soul is received. So you should say majlis wafat, not majlis faut. This person wafat karde, not faut karde. This is a very important point.
I think that's what they say.
Pardon?
In Majlis, they say Majlis al-Wafat.
Yeah, wafat. But sometimes say faut. They say faut karde.
Yeah, speaking language, they say faut only.
Yeah.
For the body, it would make sense, but for the soul, it doesn't make sense, as you said.
For body also you cannot say faut karde.
No?
Because body is there.
It's died now. It's dead.
No. Body has not expired. Body is there. The soul has departed from body. So you can say body has died, but faut is not a very accurate term. Okay. So, إذا فات الواجب مؤقت في ظرفه, when the wajib which comes with timing is missed in its zarf, in its time framework. Zarf means container, but here means temporal container. It means time. إذا فات الواجب المؤقت في ظرفه من دون فرق بين كونه مضيقا أو موسعا, whether it is like months of Ramadan and fasting which has exactly equal time to what you need is مضيق, or it is موسع. In both cases you need qadha of fasting or qadha for praying. Okay, so the question is, one opinion says قيل يدل نفس الدليل الأول على وجوب الإتيان خارج الوقت. The same source, the same reason that you had to say that you have to fast or you have to say your prayer, they say the same thing implies that if you miss it in that time, you have to do qadha. The same dalil for ada indicates that you have to do qadha if you miss it. فَيَجِبُ الْقَضَاءُ وَيُعَبَّرُ عَنْهُ. This opinion is called أَنَّ الْقَضَاءَ تَابِعٌ لِلْأَدَاءِ. It means that the same command for ada requires to do qadha when you miss ada. وَقِيلَ, there is another opinion, بعدم الدلالة لذاك الدليل على القضاء. They say no, dalil of ada would not imply dalil to do qadha, because it was telling you do this in this time. Maybe after that it's useless, it has no value. This opinion is expressed in this way: أن القضاء بأن القضاء تابع لا جديد. لا. The first was أن القضاء تابع للأداء. The second is أن القضاء جديد. It's a mistake. The second is that قضاء is جديد لا تابع. The first was qadha is tabi, the second is jadid. There's a mistake in the typing. Pardon?
Both are.
Yeah. So one opinion is that qadha is tabi' lil ada, the second is qadha is not tabi, is jadid. It's a second issue. Ahsan. ويختص محل النزاع إذا لم يكن هناك دليل يدل على أحد الطرفين. When the benefit of this discussion happens, when we have this debate really, something applicable, when there is no evidence that suggests one side. For example, that you have to do qadha or you have to do ada. You are in doubt. For example, as I said, for ada, you know that you have to do it. But if you don't know how many ada are missed and you have to do qadha. If you know you have to do 10 ada, you do it. If you know you have to do 10 qadha, you do it. But if when you don't know, then depending on which of those opinions, you have to do either the maximum or the minimum. If you say you need a second command, so when you don't know that second command has become applicable, you have bara. You can say, I don't know whether I have to do 1 qadha or 5 qadha or no qadha. So you don't do anything. You always keep it to the minimum. Because as long as you are not sure whether a command has been applicable to you, you don't need to do it. But if qadha is tabi'un lil ada, you have no doubt that all those 100 commands for ada have applied to you, and you have doubt whether you have performed all of them or not, you have to do maximum. You have to do as much as possible till you are sure. You remember in Usul al-Fiqh we had before, الاشتغال اليقيني يستدعي الفراغ اليقيني. When command has belonged to you and your dhimma is busy with command, you have to repeat, you have to do as many times as you can be sure that you have delivered the job. But if you are not sure whether wajib has belonged to you and applied to you, then you can do bara. Yeah?
Qazā umri, which you do in Ramadan, for the qazās of which you have not counted, for the
For all your life.
yeah.
Yeah.
For the dead person, if somebody say that my father has passed away, I don't know how many months he has.
Minimum is
Minimum is
wajib.
applied.
You don't need to do maximum, but you can, as a precaution, you can do more. But whether for yourself or for another person, if you have doubt how many qadha is applicable, according to most of Maraji, you do the minimum because qadha has second command. Is not tabi'un lil ada.
How are we defining the doubt that's mentioned in
You don't know how many.
50-50%?
No, it can be more than 50, less than 50. Lack of certainty and lack of itminan. Sometimes when you don't have certainty and itminan, then it's like this. Yes.
Regarding Siddiq's question
Yeah.
about the dead person,
Yeah.
does that depend on his marja or my marja?
If if you are doing it because you are, for example, his eldest son, then you follow your marja. If he has asked you to do it, then here there's a possibility of saying that you do ihtiyat. It's better to do ihtiyat. But normally Maraja don't have different opinion. I think leaving Maraja normally they say have the same opinion. But you can check. Pardon?
In which way, if you mean ihtiyat, how would he do it?
If your opinion and Marja's opinion and his Marja's opinion differ, and you are not doing only as your wajib, he has made his will, or he has asked you, he has hired you, something like this. Okay. فمقتضى القاعدة عندئذ سقوط الأمر المؤقت بانقضاء وقته وعدم وجوب الإتيان به خارج الوقت. If there is no reason, so we say you don't need to do qadha because outside the time we don't have any reason to believe that wajib was still applicable. لأنه من قبيل الشك في تكليف الزائد, because you have doubt whether additional taklif is there or not. وسيأتي, inshallah it will come later, أن الأصل عند الشك في التكليف, when you have doubt in taklif itself, you have the possibility of applying bara'ah. When you know there is taklif and you don't know how to do it, then you have to do ihtiyat. Okay? If you know there is taklif, you are not sure whether you have to do it this way or that way, you do ihtiyat. Or you don't know, for example, one tasbihat arba is enough or three, but you know you have to do something. Here is ihtiyat. But if aslut taklif as such is not known, you can do bara'ah. You remember we talked about 4 practical principles. How it becomes 4. It was in exam also. Either you know the previous condition or you don't know. If you don't know, then you have 2 options. You know aslut taklif, you don't know aslut taklif. And if you don't know aslut taklif, you do bara'ah. If you know aslut taklif, if there is a possibility of ihtiyat or not possibility of ihtiyat. So then you have istishab, bara'ah, ihtiyat and takhir. Okay. The third classification. Shall we continue a little bit or we stop? A little bit we continue. Al-wajib al-nafsi wal-ghayri. Please be very careful about the distinction between this classification and next classification. People sometimes get confused between this one and the next one, because somehow it's similar. If you have attention, inshallah, it will be clear. So the third is al-wajibu imma nafsiyun aw ghayriyun. What is nafsi? Means something which is wajib by itself. Ghayri is because of another thing. For example, salat is wajib for its own sake. But wudu is wajib because of salat. Otherwise, wudu by itself is mustahab. Is that wajib? Yeah? It's muqaddamah, but a muqaddamah that by itself is also mustahab. Some muqaddamat by themselves have no value, you know, but some muqaddamat like ibadi, so by themselves have value. Al-wajibun nafsi, obligation or what is obligatory by itself. Ma wajaba li nafsihi, because of its own sake. Kas salah, pray. وَالْوَاجِبُ الْغَيْرِ مَا وَجَبَ لِغَيْرِ. It has become wajib, but for the sake of another thing. كَالْوُضُوء بِالنِّسْبَةِ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ. I think you understood this. Yeah? Now let me see if I can confuse it. تَقْسِيمُ الْوَاجِبِ إِلَى أَصْلِيٍ وَتَبَعِيٍ. What is the difference between this and the previous one? For example, أقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة. Establish prayer, give alms. We say this is wajib asli, primary obligation. But يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم. All those who believe, when you stand up to say your prayer, you have to make wuzu. We say wuzu is wajib tabai. So what is the difference then between this and wajib ghairi?
What's the fourth one, Sheikh?
Pardon?
Wajib asli and?
Wajib asli and nafsi and wajib tabai wa ghairi. What is the difference between these two? The previous classification was nafsi wa ghairi. This is asli wa tabai. What is the difference between these two? Yes.
Ghairi, is it that with regards to something else it becomes wajib, but for tabi, it becomes wajib when you do something. When you kind of
No, it's the same thing.
The same thing.
Yeah. That from that point is the same. Yes.
I think because I'm reading here at the end, so I think it is the wudu becomes wajib asli because of the
Wujub is not asli.
Wujud
Tabai.
here they put في الوضوء واجب غيري وفي الوقت نفسه أصلي.
No.
So it is واجب لغيري, yes, but it must be. It's actually the same.
No, it's ghairi. This is a mistake.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought this-
Don't trust the text. Even the one who was typing was confused. Okay. The difference between this. Let me read. I want to see who is clever. Alhamdulillah, you're all clever, but who is most clever? Let me don't explain. Read it for you. Translate for you. See, inshallah. I hope you can get the answer. إذا كان الوجوب. It's very now easy, of course. مفاد خطاب مستقل ومدلولا بالدلالة المطابقية. When the wujub is understood from an independent address. It is understood from a text with 100% correspondence. You remember dalalat mutabiqi, tazammuni, iltizami. Remember? Yes. Dalala, we have three. Mutabiqi means meaning and the term is the same. Like insan and haywan and natiq. But dalalatul insan ala al-haywan is tazammuni. It's part of it. And if it is, for example, dalalatul insan about that this can, for example, smile or can be surprised. This is iltizami. So إذا كان الوجوب مفاد خطاب مستقل ومدلولا بالدلالة المطابقية فالواجب أصلي. The wajib is asli. So the question is a matter of expression. How is it expressed? Is it expressed as an independent taklif or not? سواء كان نفسيا كما في قوله سبحانه وأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة. So أقيموا الصلاة is nafsi, but at the same time is asli. أو غيريا كما في قوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق. So he wants to say that this is asli but غيري, which is not correct. This is not asli because the khitab is not mustaqil. It says for salat make wuzu. It's a mistake. Asli is like saying tawadda. But if you say for the sake of salat tawadda, it becomes tabai. Okay? So the concern here is how you express. In the previous one, the concern was what is the reason for legislation. There are two issues that can overlap. Do you want this because of itself, by itself, or you want it because of something else? That was the previous question. Here is how it is expressed. Is it expressed as something independent, or is it expressed as something which is required for the sake of another thing?
Shaykh, maybe
Does it mean the same thing?
Pardon?
Does it mean the same thing?
No, there are two different things. So sometimes the question is this wajib commanded because of itself, or is it commanded because of something else?
We're not clear with the difference between ghairi and tabai.
So ghairi is it has become wajib for sake of something else.
Tabai?
Tabai is how is it expressed? In the text that expresses this wajib, is it expressed independently or is it expressed as a requirement for another thing? So you expect, but it's not always the case, that when something is ghairi, it should also be expressed as tabai. But it's not always the case, because sometimes something can be ghairi, but is expressed asli. Okay? Yes.
Sheikh, maybe here asli is equivalent to awwali. Maybe the hukum for
No.
before salat you should do wudu. This is the first thing you should do. Otherwise, what else?
No, Afghani. وأما let's finish the text. أما إذا كان بيان وجوب الشيء من توابع ما قصدت إفادته is something that is required. كما إذا قال اشتر اللحم, go and buy meat. From buy meat you understand that you have to go to the market, you have to go to the shop. So going to the shop is tabai. Yeah. But this is not the way I would tell you. The way I would tell you is that tabai is when something is expressed as a requirement or prerequisite for another thing. And asli when it is expressed independently. There is a little confusion here in the text, at least in the way that I understand. I think the best way is this. Either wajib is divided to nafsi wa ghairi, which is a matter of why it is legislated. Is it legislated for its own sake, or it's legislated for the sake of another thing. The other classification is asli wa taba'i, which is a matter of expression. Is it expressed as something which is wanted independently, or even in the context of expression, it is expressed as something which is required for another thing? إِذَا قُمْتُمْ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ فَاغْسِلُوا. This shows that فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ is not asli, is taba'i.
Taba'itu salah.
Yes.
Usul itself, Shaykh, it looks like asli, even if it is taba'i, of course. But it looks
How can
like
be
this-
asli and taba'i the same? It cannot be the same.
Yeah, فَاغْسِلُوا as for the reason of salat. But اغسلوا, this amr there.
So both of them, asli and taba'i, are amr. But amr is sometimes asli, sometimes taba'i, depending on whether it is said, expressed independently, or is expressed for the sake of something else. So, in the definition of nafsi and ghairi, your concern is the real world. The real world of masalih and mafasid, which is the main one and which is the second one. Salat is the main one, wuzu is the second one. This is in reality. But in this second classification, it's not about the reality, it's about how something is explained. It's linguistic. Of course, these two somehow relate to each other, because if in the real world something is independent, then in linguistic expression you cannot say it as a prerequisite. You know? Although you can say it, but normally you don't say it. Yes.
Do you have examples, Sheikh, where you mentioned that there are differences?
Yes. For example, maybe sometimes it mentions wuzu without saying for salat make wuzu. Or for example, it says salli for example, qurbatan ilallah. إذا تريد أن تتقرب من الله فصلي. So it looks like taba'i. Yeah? But indeed it is nafsi. It's taba'i but nafsi. The next classification is al-aini wal-kafai. You are all familiar with this. Wajib is sometimes aini and sometimes is kafai. Aini means every person who is mukallaf has to do it. Kafai means that we need to make sure that this is done. But we don't need to do it all of, but we must make sure that this is done. If enough people do it, the rest of the mu'mineen can be free. You cannot say only one person, because it depends on the situation. Sometimes 10 people have to do it. Sometimes 1,000 people have to do it. You understand? For example, if God forbids an earthquake comes, and we have lots of dead bodies, we cannot say it's one person if does is enough. No, maybe 100 people have to work, maybe 1,000 people have to work. But what is important is if enough people take care of this, other mu'mineen are exempted, they are free. If no one or no enough number takes care of it, all of them are sinful. All of them are responsible. Okay? So now mubaasa is aini or kifai? Is aini. You cannot say if other people are doing mubaasa is enough for us. Or we have 4 people in our group, 2 are doing mubaasa and I am in the same group.
There is no difference of opinion among the maradas.
We tell Sheikh Shomali that our group has done mubaasa. No. This is wajib aini for each person. Okay? The next classification, at-ta'yini wa takhyiri. Here the concern is not the person who should do it. The concern is the wajib itself. Sometimes you have to do something specifically. Sometimes you are given 2 or 3 options. Okay? Ta'yini ma la yakunu lahu adlun. It has no alternative. You cannot do instead of Salat al-Dhuhr something else. But takhiri, like in the time of Ghaiba, according to some Maraji, on Friday, you can do Zuhr or Jum'ah. This is takhir. Or for kafara, for fasting, if someone breaks his fasting or fasting deliberately, there are three possibilities. Freeing a slave, 60 days of fasting, or feeding 60 people. So this is called takhiri. You have a few options, maybe two options, maybe three options. Al-wajibu ta'ini huwa ma la yakunu lahu idlun. It has no alternative. It has no counterpart. Idl means counterpart. Yeah, there is nothing like that. كالفرائض اليوم, daily prayers. الواجب التأخيري هو ما يكون له عدل. It has counterpart. It has alternative. كخصال كفارة الإفطار العمدي في صوم شهر رمضان. The compensation for someone who breaks his or her fasting deliberately is one of the three. صوم شهرين متتابعين, fasting for two successive months. Of course, if it is 1 month and 1 day, normally they say it's enough, then 29 days can be separate. Feeding 60 people who are poor, or freeing a slave. The next taqsim, very easy. At-tabassuli wa ta'abudi. We had it before. Sometimes wajib is tabassuli with sa. Means you have to just do it. You don't need intention of getting nearer to God. Of course, if you have the intention of qurba, you get sawab. But even without that, your wajib is done. You are not going to be blamed why you didn't do it. You are not going to be punished if you don't do it. But ta'abbudi is an act of worship, and it needs qasdul qurba. It needs attention, it needs intention, and it needs sincerity of intention. So al-wajibu tawassuli huwa ma yatahaqqaqu imtithaluhu بمجرد الاتيان بالمأمور به. Just simply by doing it, bringing what you have been asked to do, drops. The taklif drops. بأي نحو اتفق. No matter how it has happened. Even if you are sleeping and this happens, it can be fine. If someone else does it, it can be fine. If your niyyah is not there, or you are not, very concentrating, like dafn al-mayyit, not salatul mayyit, not quslul mayyit, but dafn al-mayyit, or tathir al-masjid. Tathir al-masjid, if possible, and you can use a machine to do tathir al-masjid, you can do it. Ask Chinese to make for you a machine to clean your masajid according to religious rulings. It's possible. But for certain things, you have to have niyyah. Ada'ud dain. I owe someone some money. I don't need to have qasdul qurba in giving money. Yeah? Even if I don't have qasdul qurba, I just want to give money so that he doesn't, complain, or other people say he's a good person, that he gives, the debt back. Okay. And this dain is over anyway. The dain is over. Whether, I'm gaining sawab or I'm gaining blame, whatever, that's another issue. But when you give back the money to the person, it's over. الواجب التعبدي هو ما لا يتحقق امتثاله بمجرد الاتيان بالمأمور به. You cannot implement it, you cannot bring it without qasdul qurba. Just simply doing it is not enough. Mujarrad means simple. Just merely, simply bringing it is not enough. بل لا بد من الاتيان به متقربا إلى الله سبحانه. You have to do it seeking nearness to God. كالصلاة والصوم والحج. What about khums? Khums is also to be done qurbatan ilallah. So if someone gives khums to show off, he have to give it again. because if it is not for qurba, it's not accepted.
You say in my heart it was.
ثم إن قصد القربة يحصل بأحد أمور ثلاثة. There are three ways that you can have قصد القربة. One, الاتيان بقصد امتثال أمره. You bring the wajib, you do the wajib, and your niyyah is that I want to obey the command. Salam. I want to obey the command for doing this wajib. Second, al-ityan lillah. I do it for the sake of Allah, not thinking that there was a command and I want to obey the command. You say, I know this is something that Allah wants, this is pleasing to Allah, I want to do it. Okay? Third, الاتيان بداعي محبوبية الفعل له تعالى دون سائر الدواعي النفسانية. You do it because you know it's lovable to Allah, it's a good thing to do it, and you don't have any other intention or you don't think about other motivations. So there are different ways. So sometimes you do it for nearness to Allah. Even, in some books, for example, sometimes you do it for Jannah, sometimes you do it for not to go to hell. Sometimes you do it because God loves this. Sometimes you do it because you know that this is a good action. There are different ways, they discuss. But it has to be something related to God in a way. ثم إنه إذا شك, if you have doubt, في كون واجبا توسليا أم تعبديا, you don't know whether this wajib is tawassuli am ta'abbudi. So you don't know whether you need qurba or no. Nafsiyan am ghayriyan, ayniyan am kifaiyan, ta'yiniyan am takhiriyan. You don't know which of the two in these different classifications. So what the general regulation, general rule requires is that it is tawassuli. Means that you don't need to have, because you have doubt whether I have to have qasdul qurba or it's just enough to do it. So the first assumption is just do it. Is it nafsi or ghairi? You say it's nafsi. If you have doubt, so the first assumption is that something is wanted for its own sake. Is it aini or kifai? When we are said to do something, is it enough that some of us do it? No. When you are all said that you have to do it, so unless it's clearly said that it's kifai, you have to assume that everyone has to do it. Is it ta'ini or takhiri? If you are not given clear guidance that it has other alternative options, you have to do it. You cannot say, I don't do it and I do something else. To do takhir, you have to have clear guidance. وَالتَّفْصِيلُ مَوْكُولٌ إِلَى الدِّرَاسَاتِ الْعُلْيَا. If you want more detailed explanation, you have to wait, inshallah, for more advanced studies of Usul al-Fiqh. Okay? So, for this level, this is enough. If you want more, inshallah, in higher levels. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.